Coming up on this edition of Out of the Blue from Middle Tennessee State University, students from our College of Media and Entertainment are partnering with a Rutherford County school to teach fifth graders about the art of songwriting. We'll learn more about this from the professor and student heading this outreach. Students in our textiles, merchandising, and design departments are staging this year's college fashion show set for April 12th. We'll learn more about this annual showcase from the two student co-directors. And we spotlight two graduate degree programs offered in our College of Education, which are now both 100% online. I'm Andrew Ottman, and this is Out of the Blue. Welcome to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. Students from our College of Media and Entertainment are partnering with a Rutherford County school to teach fifth graders about the art of songwriting. This is all through a program with the Country Music Hall of Fame. And it's the third year that our students and faculty have worked with those fifth graders at the McFadden School of Excellence. Here to tell us more is songwriting professor Bess Rogers and sophomore Alexander Roberecki. Bess, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can't believe this is your first time on Out of the Blue.
I know. I'm so happy to be here.
We've talked about you a lot, the Emmy win for We Do It All and all the great things you're doing for the College of Media and Entertainment. So,
Thank you.
And Alex, your first time on the show as well, right?
Correct, yes.
And you're going to be talking about this fantastic partnership we've got with the Country Music Hall of Fame for something called the Words and Music Program that we're also partnering with a Rutherford County school.
Yes.
So Bess, tell us about this.
Yeah, so the Country Music Hall of Fame Words and Music Program, it's an educational series for elementary, middle, and high school students to learn the basics of songwriting through the Country Music Hall of Fame. And they write an original song over the process of a semester, and at the end they write lyrics, and at the end they bring those lyrics to the Country Music Hall of Fame, and they get paired with a professional songwriter who puts it to music.
And they are fifth graders, right?
They're fifth graders. So the McFadden School of Excellence, school here in Murfreesboro, is the fifth graders participate in this program. And so we are working, our commercial songwriting students are working with those fifth graders to mentor them as they go through this program.
I mean, this is really so much fun. Bess, we talk about this a lot. Songwriting is storytelling, right? So you've really kind of helped them decide what story they want to tell,
yes,
right?
Exactly. That's one of the things we talk about kind of is how you as a songwriter get inspiration, what you get inspiration from, how you craft that into a structured story in the form of a song. And then a lot about the editing process too, because that's something that they really work on. So kind of how you edit, how you craft after the initial inspiration.
Absolutely. Alex, do you talk about the style of song that they're going to do? What genre they're going to pursue with the product they produce?
Well, they can choose their own genre, but a lot of them are probably going to choose their pop or the country. Now, there's different, like as we're learning right now in our songwriting class, there's different structures and different forms that they go through all different styles. So they'll just teach them those basics, and then they can apply that to the style they want. But it's going to be a lot to do with country, I'm assuming, because we're going to be going to the Country Music Hall of Fame.
And we're here in Tennessee.
And we're in Tennessee.
I think that makes some sense. That makes some sense. And it sounds like you several sections of the fifth grade. So how many students have you connected with through this process?
Well, we only did one class, but there's 3 classes of about 20.
Okay.
So that'd be about 60 students.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's going to be a lot of songs.
That's how many students like Alex are working in this?
I think there were 9 or 10 in this first visit.
Okay.
So it's 3 different fifth grade classes that we visit. So some songwriting students go to all 3 sessions, or some do 1 or 2, just depending on availability. But then when we go back in March, our goal is to get 20 students for each session because we're trying to work one-on-one with the fifth graders. At that point, they've written some lyrics, and so we're really sitting down and looking at what they've written and helping kind of craft and make sure it all makes sense and make sure it rhymes. And,
wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned March, this month. You go back and actually see the result of your coaching and your work in January and February, right? When you last left them in February, you felt they were on the right track, doing the right things?
Yes, they're asking the right questions. They were very interested in different types of music and some of them were really had some really in-depth questions. There was a couple of students that were really interested in the form and all that other stuff.
And it's got to be just a blast, right? It kind of confirms a lot of, hey, this is the fun of why I got into this sequence to begin with, right?
Yeah, it's really fun, and it also kind of, you learn by teaching too, so he's like, now you gotta, okay, here's what I learned, now how do I communicate that?
So we're building to a big event, right? At some point, there will be something at the Country Music Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, so I think on April 11th this year, they go to the Country Music Hall of Fame and they work with a few professional songwriters who take the lyrics that the fifth graders have written and put them to music.
Wow.
And so the students get to hear their songs that they wrote come to life by a professional. It's really cool.
At the Country Music Hall of Fame?
Yes, and so they do a tour of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and then they do a workshop where they get to hear their songs put to music.
What a great experience for a fifth grader. Alex, you didn't have anything like that in the fifth grade, did you?
I don't really remember the fifth grade, and I think it was fun. I think we did something with music, but I just can't remember. It wasn't anything like the Country Music Hall of Fame. But.
Yeah, just an incredible showcase opportunity for McFadden, for MTSU, and everybody involved. So Alex, I used to live in Wisconsin, and I'm detecting a little bit of an up north accent. Okay. Where you hail from, Alex?
A little bit north of Wisconsin, Winnipeg, Canada. So I'm technically international student by about 1 hour from the border. So we're technically there. So shout out to Winnipeg, go Jets, you know what I mean?
There you go. So you're a sophomore.
Yes.
How did you discover MTSU?
I was listening to a podcast, a songwriting podcast, and they were interviewing actually an alum, a pretty big alum is Hardy.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, big into that. So, and he was talking about how MTSU was really helpful for him in his career and really helped him see the full music industry and really kind of, you can go branch off in any direction. And I said, that's what I want to do. And just experience Nashville and experience Murfreesboro, and it's been great so far, just all the different
Wow. Well, thank you, Hardy, for finding Alex for us.
Right?
That's pretty cool.
I know,
That's pretty
so
cool. Folks are going to want to know how to find out more information about this program. Where should we direct them?
They can just Google Country Music Hall of Fame Words and Music, and then you'll find all the information about that program. Well,
Bess, it just goes without saying, this is just another great thing you're involved with. In addition to I mentioned the Emmy win for We Do It All. You've been involved also with this great program with Conference USA, helping them with their theme music for their sports activities, and just so many other cool things that you're working with our students on. So thank you.
Oh,
and
it's my
Alex,
pleasure.
I'm glad you're here at MTSU. Thank you, Hardy, and thanks, Alex, for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you.
And go Winnipeg.
There you go, go Jets, right?
Go Jets, exactly. He knows about it.
Well, take care, and thank you both.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
And we'll be right back.
We do it all. We do it all.
Hundreds of majors, an amazing campus, faculty mentors. You can find what you're looking for at Middle Tennessee State, the University of Opportunities. We do it all.
And that's how electricity flows.
Hey, Mom! Don't break it, don't break it. It's just one thing. Thank you.
Wow, this looks amazing.
This is the electric robot I made all by myself.
I help people.
I create music.
I shape the future.
I am an entrepreneur.
I inspire people with more than words.
I ride forward.
The sky is not my limit.
Find your blue at MTSU.
The Jennings A. Jones College of Business at Middle Tennessee State University is the #1 producer of business talent in the greater Nashville area. Our nationally ranked programs and state-of-the-art facilities offer a world-class education at an affordable price. The exclusive partnership of Jones College with Dale Carnegie Training Worldwide equips our graduates with the soft skills they need to succeed. Jones College of Business. It delivers an education for the real world.
Welcome back to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. Students in our textiles, merchandising, and design department are staging this year's college fashion show, set for April 12th. This annual event by our College of Behavioral and Health Science students showcases the collections of our senior design students and provides them with real-world experience. Here to tell us more are the two seniors serving as the show's co-directors, Gwyneth Sintic and Rebecca Frey. Gwyneth, Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to talk about the Textiles, Merchandising, and Design Department and the College of Behavioral and Health Sciences and the Runway Show. The Runway Show is fantastic. Rebecca, tell us about this year's show and what you're trying to accomplish.
So this year's show is called Melting Point, and we just want to show how the fashion industry contributes to our environmental problems around the world, and it's one of the second largest contributors to climate change and global warming. So we have 3 categories in the show this year that highlight our underclassmen's designs and garments that they are submitting. So it's in 3 categories. We have overconsumption and deforestation and then climate change. And these are all ways that the fashion industry have contributed to our environmental issues.
So Gwyneth, when we say runway show, this is a runway show, just like I see in the movies and television. Talk about sort of the stage value of this. How many people involved? What's this going to take?
Yeah, so we are, it's one of our classes called Fashion Promotion. In our class, we have the 2 co-managers, which are me and Rebecca. And then we have 4 committees. We have the garment committee, the model committee, the finance committee, and the production committee. And each committee has their own leaders who they delegate, different things within their groups. But then aside from that, we also have to gather volunteers, sponsors, models, and catering, stuff like that. So there's
everything it takes,
yeah,
right?
There's there's a lot that goes into it. So it's definitely stressful, but it's very exciting. And I think for a lot of us, this is like our first time doing something like this, like really putting on a show. So it's definitely a great experience for all of us.
And to piggyback off of what Gwyneth said, we are holding the fashion show in the Student Union Ballroom for the first time, which is super exciting. It's going to be a way larger scale than in previous years. So we are hoping to have 500 people at the show.
Wow.
Yes, and we actually just went and viewed the spacing recently. We're trying to figure out our VIP sections. We're going to be really interactive and include just the community as a whole of MTSU. We're working with the art department to hopefully just have an art display as guests come in and get to view different parts of the MTSU community. And the stage is going to be like an elevated stage where the audience has like a good view of the garments. So we're really trying to work with different production teams of MTSU and audio production, DJs, photography to create this show. So,
the whole experience.
The whole experience.
I love the fact that so many students are involved in this, and I love the fact that this is really based in a class. This has to be the kind of experience that you take away from going, okay, I'm running a big project, but it's also the thing I'm studying and I love. Talk about why this is a satisfying experience.
For a lot of us, this is our first time being able to be a part of something like this. Having it be through a class, it's a little less scary because I mean it's definitely still a little scary, but you know, I think a lot of people, this is what they want to be involved in after school, you know, especially in our program. You know, being able to put on something like this is just very exciting for everyone.
I think it's also beneficial for students because it's not beneficial for us to sit there and have an exam. Like, we really need to get out into the real world and have hands-on experiences, and that's a lot of how the creatives' minds in our program work anyway. So we also have, you know, seen multiple fashion shows, and we've worked backstage in fashion shows, volunteered, but we've never gotten to see the logistics of how the operations going into it works. So I think being able to see that process really spearheads our like career choices as well, and sees kind of what interests us. So.
Well, I got to tell you, you're learning by doing, and that's when it's a big thing at MTSU. So the event, of course, is April 12th, and 5 o'clock at the Student Union Ballroom, which is a great space. 500 you're expecting, which is just going to be fantastic. You're still looking for sponsors, right?
Yes.
And you're looking for donations, right?
And we're still looking for volunteers and models too.
And
MUAs and hairstylists. So we need all the help we can get.
Like I said, I've seen your previous shows. It sounds like this is going to be the super duper one. But it is such a visually attractive and interesting and fun and exciting event. It's a ticketed event, correct? So tickets are how much?
$35 for general admission and $65 for VIP.
So this leads to my next question. How can I find out about this? Where do I go on the web?
So you can go to our Instagram at MTSU_TXMD, or you can go to the FADS Instagram, which is MTSU FADS. And we also have a website. If you Google MTSU TXMD Runway Show, it should just pop right up.
You two are regular show promoters. This is fantastic. Gwyneth, Rebecca, thanks for coming on the program. And break a leg, as they say in theater. I don't know if they say it in textiles, but it's going to be a great event. And thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you for having
us.
And we'll be right back.
See that? Go slow.
I see it.
Hello. Hello. You are looking good today.
Well, thank you.
I think it's time we take this off, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I help people.
I create music. I shape the future.
I am an entrepreneur.
I inspire people with more than words.
I ride forward.
The sky is not my limit.
Find your blue at MTSU.
Welcome back to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. MTSU was founded in 1911 as a teacher training school, and our College of Education continues to serve teachers and instructors at all levels with innovative and career-focused degree options. A great example of this ongoing commitment is the college's master's and specialist degree programs in the concentrations of higher education and instructional leadership, which are now being offered 100% online. Here to discuss these degrees is Dr. Everett Singleton, an associate professor in our Department of WOMAC Educational Leadership. Dr. Singleton, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
You're in the Center for Educational Media right now, which is a part of the College of Education. So it's always great to talk about the programs of the College of Education. And you're going to tell us the difference between a very popular degree programs. We got to start with this. The sequences that we're going to be talking about today offer a master in education,
yes,
and a specialist degree in education. So let's start from the very beginning. What's the difference between a master's degree and a specialist degree?
Yeah, so the master's degree is really an advanced degree from a bachelor's degree, and the specialist degree, it sits in between the master's and the doctorate degree for individuals who want to pursue a higher degree, but really want to focus on being a specialist as opposed to being a doctor.
And both of those degree options are available in the concentrations we're going to talk about: instructional leadership and higher education. So let's start with instructional leadership, that concentration. What is that about?
So instructional leadership concentration is really a degree program that prepares or empowers educational teachers to actually be educational leaders who really focus on things like school improvement and student success and achievement.
And like you said, it's preparing them for leadership roles like principal, assistant
leadership
principal?
roles of principal, assistant principal, department head, academic coach, or educational coach.
We were talking about this before the program began. Both of the concentrations we'll be talking about, they're now 100% online, right?
They are 100% online. We worked hard.
Congratulations.
This semester to transition in particular, the instructional leadership concentration from hybrid to online.
And that's got to be very attractive because you're attracting, obviously, folks that are in the field, in the profession, they're holding down jobs, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So having that flexibility helps.
Yeah, you really want to focus on that flexibility and accessibility of that working professional, which are teachers in schools. So.
Now let's turn our focus to the higher education concentration. And I know several at MTSU who are pursuing this, and it's a really great opportunity for them. But describe that concentration. What is it intended to offer?
So the higher ed concentration is really, again, designed for individuals who want to be in various roles within higher education. It could be at advising, financial aid, institutional research, student success, support centers, and things like that within higher education.
We both worked at the university. Universities are complicated and complex operations, and the folks that I know that have gone through your master's concentration of this, they really talk about how, hey, I'm in this division of the university now, but this program taught me that there's so many other things at the university as well. Talk about that diversity of program opportunities that you learn through this program.
Yeah, through this program, you really focus on things like problem-solving skills, things like critical thinking skills, really honing in those skills that you really need to be effective in administration,
right,
in whatever aspect that is within a higher ed setting.
So it too, 100% online?
100% online, degree program that's online. And it's been online for some time now, but we're really working to sort of build it back up. New curriculum, new classes, some innovative classes, like online development, ethics, and things, and classes like that.
I want to pivot a little bit. I want to talk about you. You're a 1999 graduate of Middle Tennessee State University. We're proud of that.
1999,
talk about
yes.
your journey. I've got the cheat sheet in front of me, but I'd love you to talk about your path from MTSU and how you came back home.
Yeah, 99, I arrived here. I actually transferred from Jackson State Community College here.
Great.
I was there for a year, spent 4 years here, went on to earn my master's from Union University, actually left Tennessee, went into higher education at another university, spent 5 years in Missouri, and so I transitioned back here about 2 years ago. I wanted to come back home, be closer to family, and teach at my alma mater.
We're glad you're home, and we're glad you're putting together these fantastic sequences. So if I want to find out more about the program, where do I go on the web to discover you?
It's edu-leadership.mtsu@edu.
Okay, fantastic. And obviously, if you want to find out more about all that information is there.
Yes.
Dr. Singleton, thanks for joining us on the show and telling us about these great programs. We appreciate this.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And this does wrap up this edition of Out of the Blue. A reminder, you can find news about the campus 24 hours a day by going to our website, mtsunews.com. You can also find additional special content on our social media platforms, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. True Blue TV is available on most streaming services. From the Center for Educational Media, I'm Andrew Ottman. Stay safe, stay on course, and remain true blue.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a fun show lined up for you today. Mr. Johnny Allred's helping me co-host.
Thanks for having me.
Back again. It's been a few weeks since we've had you, Johnny, but glad you're here with us again.
Always happy to be here.
You know what? We're 2 weeks away from turkey season.
We're talking turkey today, so that's right up my alley.
The Young Sportsman Hunt will be coming up in 2 weeks. That opens up on April 5th, so mark your calendars, young hunters out there, and tell your dad, your grandpa, your mama to get you out there. So it's going to be a fun time of year. I enjoy turkey season. I'm a deer hunter, but turkey hunting is probably my second favorite thing. And I'm excited to talk turkey with our guest today, GSM Outdoors, sponsor, as you heard on the intro. But we're glad to have a few representatives from the company today, and we're going to talk these products and give away some products. So we have Mr. Steve Cobb with us and Crispin Pally, and we're going to jump in and meet these guys and then dive into this content. So I'm excited.
Good deal.
Glad y'all are here. Steve, you were with us a few weeks ago. We talked predator hunting. Why don't you jump in and remind folks who you are, and then we'll slide over here to Crispin.
Steve Cobb. I'm from Union, South Carolina. I've been doing this outdoor stuff for my whole life. Ever since I was 14, I think I killed my first turkey when I was 14 years old.
Awesome.
So I don't want to tell you how old I am now. No, I'm 62, so that tells you I've been doing it a long time.
Well,
I've enjoyed it. I'm a 8-time South Carolina state champion and been on the Grand National stage many times, placed in those contests too. And now I have since retired from contest calling and just helping develop product for GSM and Hunter Specialties throughout the years, and making sure we have a quality product for the outdoorsman. And that's really what I am happy about, to know that when we put something out, it's been field tested. It is the top of the line. Awesome. It is as good a product as you can use to go hunt with. And turkey hunting is my passion. I love it. And man, I can't wait. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't wait. I'm ready to go
just
right
a few
now.
weeks away.
I'm telling y'all. I'm pumped up and ready to go. I'm already planning to go to Florida. Then I'll hit Georgia. Then South Carolina. And then I may end up coming up to Tennessee. You don't ever know.
I think probably hope you beat the governor's one shot here in Tennessee.
That's right.
I'd love for you to come up.
Well, I really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me on the show here.
Yeah, thank you. You only touched on a small part of your bio here. I got a whole list of things, but 40 years turkey hunting and calling experience.
That's exactly right.
Awesome.
Sure enough.
This is the man to go with, sounds like. All right, so Crispin, tell us about yourself. Senior Vice President of the fishing side of GSM, right?
Yeah, I tell everybody I make a living on the fishing side, but my passion's really hunting, and turkey hunting's very high on the list.
Awesome. So how did you come to be with the GSM? And
yeah, I'm a native Tennessean.
Okay,
I live in Benton County now. I grew up in Henry County and worked for a Tennessee company, Strike King, for 17 years when it was based here.
Okay.
And company sold a couple times, had some contacts at GSM, Brian Robinson, a couple guys, they just reached out to me and said, hey, we want to get into fishing. And I was already using a ton of the GSM hunting brands products. Might have been swapping some fishing for some hunting. But long story short, man, I loved a lot of the GSM products, and it was an exciting opportunity to come to work for a company I had a lot of belief in. So
awesome. Yeah.
3 years ago, made the jump over, and man, it's just we're excited to be part of this show.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited.
Really excited about a lot going on with GSM right now.
Well, I appreciate you joining us today. We're excited too. This is a great partnership. I know y'all have been a long-time partner of the foundation and the agency, and just to extend this into Wildcast and give our listeners an opportunity to win some product and try out some of y'all's stuff, and then learn more about how these things can help them kill a turkey or kill a deer or catch some fish. That's
it's such a broad line of products. If you're in the hunting and fishing enthusiast, I mean, just look up GSM outdoors.com, our brands, and see what they carry. It's all quality stuff. I mean, from the turkey hunting stuff to the optics to the Walker game ear. I mean, there's so many great things that they have. It's just endless.
It makes your hunting easier whenever you got the right equipment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like he can tell you fishing. If you don't have the right equipment fishing, you're not probably going to be successful.
Yeah.
Hunting's kind of the same way. You need to have the right equipment, and GSM Outdoors, they got it.
They got it. We're 60 brands ish strong, and one of the cool things I love to tell people is before I ever worked for GSM, there's not a genre of hunting, and I do it all. I mean, I turkey hunt, waterfowl hunt, deer hunt, predator hunt. I already used all the GSM.
I'm going to get your number.
Well, I'm down the road, I'd love to hook up. But yeah, I mean, I used GSM products before I worked here because it was the right
Good
equipment.
quality stuff. Yeah, that's the way you look at it. You buy quality stuff. One thing I guess, I'm quality when it comes to my hunting products. I don't have the best. That's just the way it is.
Well, I see some products on the table today that I think are right up there as considered some of the best.
It's some of the things that I've developed over the years and put my little 2 cent worth into the final product, and I think it will help the outdoorsman out there to become a better caller. And that's really the whole intent of producing a mouth call or a slate call or any type of call, is making you successful. If you're not successful, guess what? You're probably not going to go.
Yeah.
So I want you to be successful. I want you to sound better. And I think with some of these new products that we're coming out with, I think you will sound better.
And we're going to give this to some of these listeners too, make them successful.
That's exactly right. I've got a cob cutter I'm going to give away. That's great.
Yeah, I'm going to let's just jump into that, and then we'll dive into these products.
Okay.
So this vest right here, this is the HS Strut Turkey Vest. We're going to give that away for this week's show, and then the cob cutter, which we're going to hear today.
That's right.
And so I'm excited to get these.
I actually gave a couple out there. Yeah, we're going to let y'all have be able to test them. Hey, when did you say Youth Day comes in?
Yeah, that's April 5th and 6th.
See, so it's not far around. You keep practicing right now, and y'all be able to call
ready to go.
for a kid. That's great.
I'm going to be ready. Or I may just call my buddy Steve. So he can
come on up.
Come get my son a turkey. Let's talk about how to give away. So if you want to enter to win these 2 products, and this call.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, we're going to
I forgot to tell you that. I'm going to actually give away my cookie cutter call, and I did sign it. So, and a 50 cent to get you a cup of coffee.
So to get your name in the hat, it's key to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell so you're notified when the shows come out, the new shows come out. Subscribe to your favorite podcasting platform, whether it's Spotify, which is now where we're hosted. You got Apple Podcast, and somebody's getting a phone call. Answer that real quick, Johnny. So
me.
You got on your favorite podcasting platform, subscribe there. Then like, share, comment in on our social media. Engage with us. That's the way to win. If you engage, that's how your name gets put in the hat. And we'll have all these details in the comments below. But also don't forget that don't forget that we're on Carbon TV and 30 plus radio stations. And I did it again, Johnny. I forgot our radio station. Go back to Kix 96 in Centerville. Kix 96, Centerville, Tennessee.
Right down the road from us.
Yeah, they run the show Monday through Friday. That's the extra Monday through Friday at 5:50 a.m. And then the full show is on Saturdays at 7 a.m. So we love our radio partners, appreciate them very much, and there we are. So get your name in the hat to win these prizes. Now, let's jump into some of these products. Today we're going to one thing I want to mention, Tennessee calls. A lot of these calls we're going to talk about today. Some of them are made here in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, we make a lot of our diaphragm calls in Parsons, Tennessee, right down the road from about 20 minutes south of where I live in Camden. And
we love Tennessee products.
Yeah, so do we. We build muddy blinds there. We have a pretty strong background here in Tennessee with manufacturing.
Well, speaking of muddy, we hadn't talked about that, but they have a great line of camouflage for turkey hunters.
Yeah,
I mean it's a good stuff. I've been using
boots also.
Yeah,
they've got
and blinds. I mean, I've seen great blinds too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we GSM has it all. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna give away some stuff that all they need is a gun, and I think they're gonna be able to hunt.
I like that. All right, so had decoys. Don't forget the decoys. Avion and some other.
Avian X, Flex Tone, and Hunter Specialties, the Strut Light series. So GSM sells all those lines. So if you want it, go gsmoutdoors.com Is that correct?
Our brands.
Our brands, or you can find whatever you want online right there and see exactly what products are available.
Steve, we were just talking about before the show that how far decoys have came. You know, we were using cardboard cutouts for a while, and then these just awful looking decoys.
They're looking for that advantage. And back in the day, somebody finally said, hey, let me kind of put something up here that looks like a turkey. Maybe that'll attract one, and probably came in, and wham, there you come up with the first decoy. You know what I'm saying?
You even said that some of these avian decoys have been shot by the hunters. They shot their own decoys because they get confused on what's there because they looking
here, and then all of a sudden, boom!
They look exactly like a turkey.
That's how
down to
technology has really come a long way with the decoys.
Yeah.
And with Avian X, their duck decoys, their goose decoys, oh my gosh. I mean, you would just about be ready to shoot one.
Yeah.
Would you, Chris?
Yeah,
it's amazing artistry.
I've got a 13 and 11-year-old who love to turkey hunt, and what I've learned is if I can sound like a turkey, I can get their attention.
Yeah.
I can hide my kids in a blind. They don't scare the turkey off. And if you've got an attractive decoy that looks lifelike, it keeps the turkey focused on it, and they don't see my kids, picking their nose or whatever they're doing. That
Getting
you know what I mean?
Debbie's.
No doubt.
Yeah,
for a
that's
kid,
exactly
for a
right.
kid to get the attention off of the hunter, the blind, the ground blind, that kid can get a good shot, and it's a lot to do with the technology out there nowadays.
That's right.
It really is, and it's helped be a lot of hunters be successful.
Let's talk about this stand a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is an incredible thing to have a decoy on any terrain.
This decoy is tattooed with an HS back here.
I kind of slid that in back years ago. Hold that for me, Chris.
Yes,
but I believe that camera there can see me. But the way this tripod stick comes apart,
Hold it high so it makes sure it's on the camera there.
and that's it right there. And then it comes down and it just fits right in your pack, so you're good to go. That's the way it is.
It's wide enough the wind's not going to blow it over.
Exactly right. Texas, I have had no problem filming in Texas with this thing. It stands up, and the wind blows 99.9% of the time in Texas.
So if you're looking for this HS Strut all-terrain decoy stand, it's a tripod stand, works in any condition. Frozen ground is not a problem for this thing. This is great. Hard ground, frozen ground. You don't have to have.
And any decoy, okay? So Avian X will work in that. Flex Tone will work in that. If you buy another type
No, they don't. Right? No.
There are no other.
There are no other decoys. That's right.
Okay,
But
it will work with others.
That stand right there will work.
No more breaking your stick sticking in the ground.
I told you earlier, back in the day when we were filming all the time, and the turkey would gobble, and I'd put the decoy out, and I'd crawl back and get with the cameraman.
Fall over.
It'd either fall over, it'd be crooked. The cameraman, Steve, you got to go get him. So I had to go straighten it back up 2 or 3 trips, and the next thing you know, the turkey quit gobbling because he saw me. So.
That's great.
But if I'd have had that years ago, my life would have been much easier. So.
Definitely. All right, so let's jump into season prep, and we're going to talk box, slate, and mouth calls. But let's talk season prep. So do you tune your calls? Do you prep your mouth calls? How does all that work?
Pretty much what I tell a lot of folks when I became a really, really successful turkey caller was practicing. And you need to practice. A lot of people don't practice till the day before the season opens.
Yeah,
and
they're looking at me.
And then they want to know why they don't sound good. And I'm like, well, buddy, you just put this call in your mouth last night. And you're trying to call one in this morning. I've been calling for 3 months. So that would probably be the best thing. And call care is something you need to make sure of. And I've been so fortunate to be able to get my hands on calls my whole life. So my call care quality probably is not as particular as Chris is, because I'm going to get me another one next year anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But some of these folks want to take care of their stuff. And I would say slates and box calls, you want to make sure you keep them out of the moisture and keep them where they're in a spot where they won't get damaged over time.
Right.
Some of the slate calls back in the day, humidity with that sound bar in the bottom would expand and it would crack the glass or mess the sound up, and next year people would get it and it sounded like crap, and it was actually not taken care of. So that's something you need to make sure of. If you got a slate call, you want to put it in a place that the humidity is not going to change too much so it doesn't damage your call.
Good tip.
One of the things as far as calling or quality of a slate, what I always like to tell people is a slate call, you want to always try to sand it left to right and then call against the grain.
Okay.
And you want to always keep your moisture off of the slate, because any type of oil on that slate is going to make it slip. So that's one of the things that we came up with, the cookie cutter. Can I go ahead and show you this right now?
You sure can.
All right, so the cookie cutter.
This is the one we're going to give away, too.
I'm going to give this one away. The cookie cutter, what it's got, it shows you the purr, shows you the yelp, and shows you the cluck, and I'm going to demonstrate it. So all you got to do is just put the call on there, get the correct angle, and drag it.
That's nice.
All right, so that's for the purr, and then you got the yelp. All right, and it shows you the little half circle. Then for the cluck, it's just one pop. All right, this comes off, okay? If you don't need it, and then now you can just. So there you got the cookie cutter. It's got a little bit of an instructional thing with it, but guess what? Some lucky guy's gonna get this call. So hopefully, hey, don't forget to sign up. What they got to do? They got to hit. They got to hit something on that computer.
Yeah. Subscribe, like, share, comment, jump in there and engage with us. That's how you get your name in the hat. So
that cookie cutter is a lot. I told my kids it's like when they had training wheels on their bicycle.
Exactly.
Right. It's like you're learning how to ride with some guardrails.
Yeah, that's what I was.
See there how easy it is?
Look at that. Anybody can do that.
There you go. There you go.
Let's see. Get the cluck.
It's easy to do. Well, it kind of slipped.
You put your oil on there. Is what you did.
That's what I did. I rubbed my finger on there. I did what I told y'all not to do.
Yeah. But no, Chris, when I was thinking the same thing for kids, this would be great for them to learn.
Oh, yeah. You'll hear them learning on it. I promise. I got an 11-year-old that carries one of those around pretty regular. And to be honest with you, with that thing on the call, I'll probably let him call one in this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to make him keep the training wheels on because he's much better with it. But
right.
What a great learning tool.
Yeah.
One of the things that another tip is a lot of people try to use a friction call, and what you want to do, you want to get contact with the call so that you can make that same.
Yep.
Every time. If you don't have your hand on the call, that's what it's going to sound. You just make sure, and that's why that protects some oil from those kids what you're talking about. So that's a great tool to learn with.
Absolutely.
But once you learn, then you're going to put a little bit of oil on the call down there, but that's not the place that you're hitting the surface with. So just protect the area that you're actually calling on. So that's a good tip, and it's a good tool. And hey, I'm looking forward to hearing about how your kid does this year. That's great.
Well, he's going to watch this and going to hold me to it now. So.
Talk about the striker a little bit. I mean, some of these come with fiberglass rods or wood.
There's so many different strikers out there. One of the things is we make a storm pack that actually works in the rain. It's a carbon, and then it's got an aluminum one in there, and a plexiglass end, and all those will work in the rain. So a lot of times when I'm demonstrating, I'll actually lick the surface and then pull that striker out, and it'll make a great sound. Mm-hmm. So that's a tool that if you're hunting in the rain, you may need that. So it's just something that you need to prepare for. But there are so many different strikers out there, and it's personal preference. But over years, Hunter Specialties, Avian X, or Flex Tone, and Zinc, we've come up with what we think is the best striker to match that call. Okay. So that's why when we actually field testing these products, that's what we're doing. We may have 50 strikers out there, and we're trying to complete it with the perfect slate.
Right.
And so then by the time it gets to the consumer, hey, it's number one as far as I'm concerned.
They got what they need.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's GSM makes these products, and I'm telling you right now, GSM Outdoors is the place to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm believing. So, all right. So box calls.
Okay, a box call, and this has probably been more turkeys killed by a box call because they're easy to use.
Yeah.
And the one thing with it too, you don't want to get any of your actual fingerprints or anything on the surface, and you want to use chalk and keep chalk on it. And this one probably been used at the show today, but it's just an easy call to manufacture a good quality sound, and it can do anything you want to with it. We've got some that's just a two-stroke like that, Chris, and this one here is a spring-loaded. So actually, if you just pull it down,
puts it right back.
Puts it right back where it needs to.
That angle on it too looks like it's got a different angle.
And it's just a one side on this one. And this would be a novice type call. In other words, somebody that
For me.
would not be, but it's got a good quality sound. Well, we've got some folks that really worked hard to get that thing to make it as easy for folks to use as possible. And I think we did that.
Yep.
And the quality of sound that comes on those calls are really good. And like I say, Zinc, Flextone, Hunter Specialties, those are the name brands that are out there that'll give you the quality call you need.
Yeah. Awesome. I could see some competition going on here with all these guys. I know my call, I know your call, and then see who calls in the biggest bird.
And the last one will be the mouth call, and we'll go over the diaphragm call. You want to go over that now, or you want to wait till?
Well, I think we're still talking about practicing, tuning them up,
Okay.
make sure you're caring for them. Yeah, let's jump in.
Okay, and this is the call that I actually designed. Is the Cobb Cutter.
And that's going to be given away.
Yep. And what I did with this is I tried to scale back. A lot of people have got so many cuts and so many different raspy sounds and I don't think it sounded that great. But going to hunt camps and listening to people call, I would make them or cut them a call that would make them sound better. And this particular Cobb cut is what made 90% of the people at these hunt camps sound better. Now I ain't say 100% because I got a small percentage. I don't care what you do for them, Chris. They're just not. There's no help,
You hunt with some of the people I hunt with.
But I'm gonna let you listen to what this sounds like, and over the years, it really has become a good yelping and cutting call for me. And what you want to do is you want to force air over the call.
That's my next question.
Instead of letting it come out the sides, and that's what most people do. They'll let the air come out the side instead of forcing it over the call. So one of the basic ways I would teach people would be to go tuk, 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 and that kind of forces the air over the call.
Okay.
And I blow a call a little bit different. I'm gonna tuk one time, and this is probably the 90% of the people do this, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's gonna sound a little bit different with this call. Okay. All right, flew back down. It's just a different way of blowing it versus. I force the air difference. You see that, and it's just that's the way I do it. But all the calls I took with them to make sure the average person can make a good sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just two different ways of blowing, and I'm gonna tell you, there's going to be a small percentage that can make that sound that I just did. I mean, it's just because you're not going to practice for 40 years like I have. I mean, that's I've been doing it my whole life, you know, and that's what drives people crazy is, I can't make that sound. Well, you need to really, really practice. And so that's it in a nutshell. I think if you the one thing I will say, don't get hung up on what you use or that. Try some different stuff, and guess what? One of those cuts may be exactly what you need, Chris. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And you've got your personal preferences, I know, don't you? You
Yeah,
said cutting 2.5.
I love a cutting 2.5 from HS. I've used that call for years. I'm very convicted right now that I haven't blown it in a little while, but I will when I get home. I'll get one out and start. Now you
tuning it up.
You made me feel bad.
Spend a lot of time in the car by yourself.
That's right.
You only got 2 weeks to get the kids out there. So
yeah, I'm behind. I'm just behind.
You were talking about 2 weeks behind. One of the good things about turkey hunting is you can go out there and pattern these animals, these birds or turkeys, and be successful opening morning for that kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you, these trail cameras. It's cheating, but you got to use them.
Well,
I'm just telling you right now,
at
GSM, we got all kind of trail cameras out there that
I use them for deer, turkeys. But I got real big into predator hunting tournaments, and I'd use trail cameras for that. I've got a waterfowl lease in West Tennessee. During duck season, I put 360 cams out around my pit, and I can usually tell how many birds are coming in there.
It's changed hunting for everybody.
We've been at camp eating lunch, and ding, the guy's phone goes off, and he's walking down the power line. He's like, "Oh, there's one on the power line now." We're grabbing our stuff, and we run in to go get, But that's just the way technology. See, years ago we couldn't have done that. We had no clue he was walking down the power line.
I'm using these stealth cameras in Colorado, and I'll send Brian pictures of elk and mule deer and stuff on there, and I'm running. The batteries are lasting a whole season. You buy a good, lithium batteries that you put in them now, or they've got these solar chargers I've got on mine there that even the snow will just pile up, and when the snow goes down, the camera's still working, still starts going off.
It goes to the fishing technology too. I mean, this technology has made some of us really lazy hunters is kind of what it amounts to.
But I have this conversation all the time, and I'm glad you touched on that. I think it's our responsibility as manufacturers to make people more successful, to come out with technology and products that get people closer to their goal.
I agree. No doubt they've done that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, I'm looking forward to getting one of those stealth cams in here and checking it out. So different hunting styles, techniques for the different types of seasons, and we got about 3 minutes here left. So early, middle, and late. What's your techniques on early, middle, late?
Pretty much early season off the roost. One of my keys, and listeners out there, if you'll do this, I probably shouldn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you. Do not call to that gobbler in the tree until it is light enough for her to be on the ground, okay? Because pretty much I know a lot of people that he's up there and gobbled all morning long. It's not even broke daylight, and they already tree calling to him. And he knows that that's coming from the ground. And he knows it's pitch black dark. And if he's a smart gobbler, he's not going down there where she's already on the ground. So I always make sure before I make that first sound that it's light enough for her to actually be on the ground. So at daylight, you talk about my technique, he can gobble 1,000 times, and I'm sitting there, oh, gosh, I wish it'd get daylight. Oh, gosh, I wish it'd get daylight. And that's one of my techniques there. On up in the morning, I like to stay up high on a logging road and do a little bit of calling and stand and listen, then walk another 200 or 300 yards, do a little bit of calling. Kind of like what we were talking about, the predator calling. We don't want to be too loud, but what we want to do is get our volume out there.
Yeah, okay.
So a little bit further, get a little bit louder. Okay?
All right. Yeah, awesome. And those late season birds that won't talk, or you think they won't talk, they're still there.
They're still there. That's where a lot less and a good quality decoy can make you successful. And I would say sit still and let the decoy do the work on them tough birds. There's no doubt about that.
Well, it's going to be a great season. Johnny, let's don't forget the Governor's One Shot.
Governor's One Shot's coming up soon. If you're interested in guiding or hunting on the Governor's One Shot, twrf.net. Look up me. You can contact me there or on Facebook, either one. Let me know. I'll be glad to have you involved with it.
That's Johnny Allred. April 11th and 12th. The hunt's on the 12th. The season for adults or anybody is April 12th through May 25th. The young sportsman April 5th through the 6th. Thank you to GSM Outdoors and all the products we have here today to look at and share and get out to you guys. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, engage with us so you'll get your name in the hat for some of these cool products. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.
It's been a great show. This is Tennessee Wildcast, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the LaVergne Board of Zoning Appeals, March the 25th, 2025. It's 5:30 p.m. We do have a quorum. If you would like to please review the order of business. Number one, approve the minutes for the November 26, 2024 meeting. If you have read them and there's no changes, I'll take a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve the minutes for November the 26th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The meeting's carried. On to new business. First of all, I want to turn over to the city's legal department for their comments, please, if you would.
Thank you, Graham. I just wanted to mention to everyone that tonight we are acting in our quasi-judicial capacity, and there is a court reporter here that's going to take down everything that's said. So if everyone could please remember to speak clearly, try not to speak over one another, and be respectful of her because she has a very difficult job of keeping track. And so in order to make that a little bit easier, just be mindful of that as we go through tonight's process.
Mr. Logan, if you go for your report, please, if you would. Let me qualify that. New business, let me read it out to everyone to understand. Appeal the decision of the building official, property located at 535 Old Nashville Highway, tax map 118I, Group B, parcel 29, C2, Highway Service, Zone District, property owned by Glenn Warnick. Mr. Logan, have a report, please.
Thank you. So I'll go ahead and direct everybody's attention to the screen, and I'll show this property, the location of the property on the map and the zoning map. So there, laser here. So this is a property in the middle of the screen. This is Old Nashville Highway that goes diagonally across the image. And then this is Blue Valley Drive that runs roughly north and south. And the property, you can see, these are all vehicles and storage of vehicles. Let me move in closer. So again, this is Blue Valley that runs north and south. And then Old Nashville Highway's here to the bottom left. And then you can see the building, the roof where I'm pointing here, the dark roof. And there are some other buildings on the property. Here's one of the buildings to the north of the main building. And then as you go up Blue Valley on the left or west side of the road, you can see this storage area with vehicles as well. So there's a storage lot to the north with vehicles, and then there's, of course, all of the storage of vehicles as you move toward Old Nashville Highway. So this is a zoning map. Just a little here. So this red color is for C2, that's Highway Service Commercial zoning. So you can see the red there, and then the orange color here to the east and southwest. Orange is R1, which is low density residential, and then there's green scattered also to the north up Blue Valley and also down Cheney. That's also residential, which is R3 high density. But again, red, which is C2 commercial, that's the zoning for the subject property tonight. So here's a photo. You can see the sign here for Blue Valley Road. So this shows the current storage there, storage of vehicles on the property. And you can see Old Nashville Highway just to the left and the pavement for Old Nashville Highway coming into view. And then in this photo, Old Nashville again is here, the pavement on the bottom left, and then this is vehicles that are stored outside here on the property. And then this yellow building in the distance is also on the property. And then this is just the application that was submitted by the applicant, which is in your packet. And if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer those. And that completes the report at this time. I'll turn it back over to Chairman Coates.
Thank you. Is any representative here this evening to represent this applicant? If you would, please step to the podium and raise your right hand to be sworn in, please. Raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, to help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
David Morrell Driggers.
Good. And sir, give me your name and address for the record, if you would mind. Are you representing this gentleman?
My name's Tom Reed. I'm a lawyer in Murfreesboro.
Okay. Address, please, sir.
1535 West Northfield Boulevard, Building 8, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 37129.
Thanks, sir. Would you like to comment on your application and what Mr. Logan said this evening, or just go through some of the things?
Should I comment?
Sure. Well, we're going to introduce some exhibits and go through them, but Mr. Driggers has been operating from this property since 1994. He's had car sales, a repair shop, a tow service, and that started in 1994. The dealership opened in about 1995, 96, and it's been operating continuously. He's had a repair shop there. That's one of the requirements under state law for a car dealer to have a garage and mechanic shop. And he's had one continuously. The matter, he could not actually get a state license without a letter from the city saying that it was a lawful use in a C2 zone. And in some of the exhibits you'll see tonight, it's just an example of one of the letters that's been written on behalf of Mr. Driggers by the city. There was a matter that came up in 2003. At that time, in 2003, Mr. Driggers had his tow service impound lot on Old Nashville Highway, and he wanted to move it to the back, to the rear of the property. And so the codes enforcement officer at that time said he couldn't move it. So there was an appeal made, and in the course of that hearing and in the course of that appeal, the minutes of this body recognized in 2000, this would have been a March of 2004 meeting, but the minutes of that meeting acknowledged that he's operating car sales and a car repair service. And it doesn't get much stronger than that. But there's been, I know that some of the issues, Mr. Bo Logan called the cars out in the picture as being stored there. That's not the case. This is a sales lot. Cars are parked there, but they're for sale. And the impound lot is in the back now, and it's properly screened, and shouldn't be any issue there. Now I know the letter says that Mr. Driggers is improperly storing stuff at this site, but and it says you can't. The letter says you can't store anything in a C2 zone. However, the city code that's cited has no application because it's dealing with abandoned items, not matters that are for sale or an impound lot. If you look closely at your zoning ordinance, which we're going to go through here in a moment, you'll see that it's stated expressly in Section G of the zoning ordinance dealing with C2 zones that storage is permitted it expressly states that it's permitted as long as it's not in the front yard. And then the letter cites a federal fire code that certainly has no application. It has to do with, I don't believe the gentleman that wrote the letter has ever read that statute or the code, because it deals with a tire rebuilding facility. And nobody's ever asserted that he's building tires there. And I've given you an excerpt of that statute as well. But we'll work our way through it. Let me hand out some stuff here.
Thanks.
You wrote the letter, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I did. Oh, you did? Okay. I'll give you one then.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Before we get too far down the road, I'm going to file a copy of the 1990 zoning ordinance that was in effect when Mr. Triggers opened his business. Can you state to the board the history behind this zoning ordinance?
So I had originally going to start my.
If you would just,
I'm sorry.
just speak.
So I was originally going to have my dealership in Antioch, and we went through the hurdles of Metro, and every time we had something done, something else changed. So I learned to get the zoning ordinance. So at the time, this was kept at the library before the city took control of the records. And so I made a copy from the library the year that I came here in '93 to start preparing to open the dealership, in '94. Or '94, I'm sorry, to open in '95.
Okay, I'm going to pass this. Who's going to keep the records of this meeting?
I'll keep them, sir. I'll take it from you.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
So, when did you start your automobile tow business and repair business?
It was originally in Murfreesboro in '91, 91, 92. And I moved to LaVergne in '94 to get the lot ready. We still had the facility in Murfreesboro at the time. We moved to, and so we were getting ready to get, there was a checklist to get ready for the dealership. And so as we got those things in order, I think we opened up in '95 in the LaVergne place, and that's when we started all operations there at that time and ceased everything in Murfreesboro. At the commercial address, we still had another shop behind my house that we used some in Murfreesboro.
And do you own the property where you are?
No, I have leased from Miss Warnack for the last 31 years. I was just on my way back from Nashville when I noticed the property. And I lived in Murfreesboro right off Old Nashville Highway, so I just passed by it, and it just happened that Metro was giving us a hard time, and this popped up, and I met with Mr. Hicks, the codes director at the time, and got the authorization that, yeah, we were zoned for it, and kind of went over everything, what our plans were, and it was okay. And then I met with I spoke with Larry Brown, was our investigator for the Motor Vehicle Commission. He came out and did our site inspection, wrote our license at that time. The first bad encounter we had with the city was with the Mr. Haley. Mr. Haley showed up one day and said, well, I'm here to put you out of business. And this is the first encounter I had with LaVergne other than Mr. Hicks. And it's, he didn't realize that we had gone through the proper steps to open up. He just happened to see us there with cars for sale. So over the years, it's been a roller coaster. We're left alone for a few years, and then we're back under the screws for a few years. So 25 years ago, we were out of business at the towing service for 11 months with this board while the city kept putting it off every month for 11 months. And then we actually had it heard and we were back in business, and that lasted for a while, other than some negotiation with the city concerning the fencing and where we could put it and where they didn't want it put.
Let's work our way through these documents. I think that it might be more orderly.
Okay.
These documents that you have before you, they've been bait stamped, they're numbered. So what are pages 2 and 3, Mr. Drigger?
This is our tax application. Sorry, this is from 95. I think this is Trigger. This is for the dealership. The well, I don't know where the number is on that one. Is this the same number for both of them?
Page 2 and page 3, yeah.
And this is bear with me. I'm RT. When we opened up, there was I think these are both the dealership.
It's just one document.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's we had to get a county license and a city license. So some of this was done at the county, and then some was done at the state with the state license.
You see that date on this application?
I can barely see. I'm sorry. Is it 95? 1995?
Right.
Yes.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, that was the dealership license.
December 8, 1995.
Yes, sir.
Pages 4 and 5? Is
So
that,
the first
and maybe 6, I guess.
so that one of these is, I had 2 copies of this. I think one was when we were gonna get the license in Metro, and then the second was when we got with Mr. Brown and got a follow-up to make sure nothing was changed for the requirements to have to get the dealer's license.
Okay. Is one of the requirements, number 11 on the requirements, is that a requirement that you have a
Yes,
garage
sir.
facility?
That we have a garage facility, and our business model was to buy broken cars, repair them, and sell them. And so the servicing of the customers, which is the service garage, was utilized as the shop that we were using to repair the cars as well.
But did the...
It was required to get the license to have the facility or to have a contract with another facility that was off-site.
Have you ever had a contract for
No, sir.
another site?
No, so we've always done our own in-house.
Okay. Is this page 6, a checklist where...
This was the checklist when Mr. Brown came out, and he just checked off the things as we had them when he wrote our license. He actually brought his license with him, and he wrote us in that day, and then we got other stuff through the mail.
This page 7, is that your first license?
I believe it is. The license is a 2-year license, so when you get it, it's good for 2 years. Your bond is for 2 years. Everything's on a 2-year schedule. This would have been the first one in 95, which it expired in 97.
Expired what date? Can you see that?
12/31 of 97.
Page 8.
So this is the Rutherford County clerk. This is how they helped us to do our taxes. Since there's 2 tax rates, there's one for retail sales and there's a tax rate for repairs. So we had to tell them what we estimated the percentages were that we would do repairs opposed to sales. And it's connected together, but it used to be it was done quarterly, and they had different filing times. The annual for each thing was a different thing. So it's not like January to January annually. It was like June to June for sales, July to July for repairs. So it was a little different, a little more complicated. They've streamlined it now, but we had to tell them what we thought and keep track of that.
When you say repairs, do you mean repairs to existing vehicles? Or
Repairs for customers and for the cars we bought broke to fix and sell.
was the county of Rutherford understanding that you were talking about fixing cars that did not work?
Yes.
Okay.
Pages 9 and 10. Maybe the same document, I guess, really. It's a tax receipt for
I
LaVergne.
think this is,
This is bigger writing.
I think it is, or this must be the same number. It is the same number there, 8272. This is my business license for LaVergne for the city.
And that was it in 1996 through 97?
This may have been my second. It looks like it's 96 and 97, so there should have been one before that. They didn't have the records to go back that far. This was just the copies that I could, find in my old records. The county and the city, they don't have any records that go back this far now. I only have the ones that I could dig up from my old records.
Page 11 and 12, what are they?
This was the original, our first year here, we had a area behind the office that we worked on cars. It was a carport. And we built a garage there and moved the carport back. So we got a building permit from Mr. Hicks to do that. And this is the building permit from 527 when we actually enclosed the garage and pushed the carport back for have more room to detail cars and do other work.
And that's dated on January 27, 1997?
Yes, sir.
This map that's on page 13, is that the same property that?
It is the same property. This is actually got all of the addresses on it except for 519 is there beside it, which was our second building that we, this was a manufacturing facility when we came. It was micro manufacturing. They did manufacturing in the warehouses, so they were heavier zoning than our garage auto dealership. Before micro manufacturing, they built fiberglass boats here. So this was more industrial, but it was still classified C2 because there was a lot more things that you could do in C2 that long ago. C2 had light manufacturing in it back then. It doesn't now. Now it's industrial and some other zoning, but that's what it was. As a matter of fact, the city even reclassified us, our water billing, which came up at the last Board of Zoning Appeals 25 years ago, because it was more industrial in their eyes, and so they changed the water to industrial billing, and we had to get them to correct it back because we were still C2 commercial instead of being manufacturing.
Now, this 527 building, it's mentioned in the letter, but it wasn't mentioned by Mr. Logan. What took place, where was the impound lot originally?
The impound lot originally was behind 527, behind 519, and in between 535 and 111. And then it came up behind, we had all of this property behind here that stopped at the TVA lines. So the TVA lines were cut across the back of the property. And so whenever we were so closed up, that's what our original reason for being here is we wanted to expand under the power lines, and the city said that we couldn't. Wait a second, you're not even supposed to do this. But we were C2, it's just that they had changed it. I think 97, they changed the code so you couldn't do what we were doing then. We actually rented to another towing service back in 99 that the city made move off of my property, which subsequently he sued the city for that and was awarded some punitive damages. He now operates in an agricultural zoning less than a mile from my facility here.
What business are you talking about, and what's the gentleman's name?
It's Earl Garvin, Easy Towing. So he used to rent the corner where you see on Blue Valley and Old Nashville. He rented that corner from me. Is where he started his towing service. The city made him move from there because they had changed the zoning. Is what they explained it to us. So he went and bought the property down there that's agricultural, and that's where he got his current towing service and vehicle storage and repair shop and all of that.
Was he at that 537 number?
He's at the corner where you see the 537. In the pictures where you see the fire truck, the fence right behind there is the start of the storage. From the fence forward, so when we had this discussion 25 years ago, they gave me a size for the storage lot under the power line. We had to do the measurements, and then after this was all said and done, there's a statute that says that you can't restrict it that way. So when I talked to Mr. Kelly after the fact, because we had some fence issues too. They gave me 30 days to put up the fence originally, which it took us more than 30 because of, I think, Hurricane Andrew, we didn't get the screening. Once we got the screening, we had it up, so they dismissed it, but we still had to pay the court costs from city court for not getting it up in the 30 days, which was a pretty good step to try to get it all done after trying to do it for a year.
But it was, were there two were there two tow services?
There were.
On this property at one time?
There were. I rented that corner to Easy Towing for his city rotation. And he was on just the corner, and the rest of it was mine.
And when he was forced to move, did he sue the city?
He did. And he won. He was, I think he was awarded about $100,000 because they let another tow service come in and see too. And that's why we were here at that time, because all the towing services are here. They put all the ones out except for they offered them non-conforming, which you'll see in the minutes. They offered them non-conforming businesses, and most of them didn't take it. Shane Draper just went to Murfreesboro. Easy Towing wasn't involved because he had already gotten his at his current location. That happened before they put everybody else out. Draper, which is where Tony Campbell is now in Old Nashville behind the vans. The other towing company was Tic Tac Towing, which is on Murfreesboro Road. He opened back up the next year. So a couple of them left, and a couple of them just kept doing what they were doing. There's several in the city now that are still operating that didn't beat that 97 break where they did change the code.
So what is this page 14?
This is where I had to do the appeal or the request for the Board of Zoning Appeals for the application to put up the fence. We'd already moved some cars. We were trying to get a fence permit. So they wouldn't give us a fence permit until we came to the Board of Zoning Appeals and got permission to do what we were trying to do.
Well, did this application on page 15, did he deny you?
He did. He denied that actually what this did was when we asked to expand on the power lines, they said, they said, well, wait, you can't even do this. So not only they said we couldn't move it, they said you can't do it at all. So then that's why we're at the Board of Zoning Appeals to continue being in business. So ultimately they said, yes, I was right that we were doing it before the code changed and that we could continue and that we would, I lost my train of thought. That we could move it under the power lines, which was already open property that's in the same lot. It's just not being utilized. Okay. Most of under the power lines from here to Nashville, Metro impound lots under the TVA lot, that's pretty much the only thing you can do under the power lines is park cars. So it made sense at the time to utilize that to use the property. And it's at the back of the property, which was what one of the requirements were to have open storage in C2 zoning, is it had to be on the back. So me and Mr. Kelly, 4 months after the decision from the Boza Board, he agreed and said, as long as you put a partition, which we connected all the buildings, so you can't see from the front, everything's behind Old Nashville Highway. So you can only see the buildings. Everything from the buildings forward is retail sales. It's just display lot and places for customers to park.
Do you store anything on the old Nashville?
We store nothing. The only thing that's there's a fire truck that was Eddie George's float. It's a float. It runs. It's more of a landmark. The other car lots in town have one. It's just there, more like a landmark. Go to the fire truck, and that's where we are. It doesn't have to be there. I've offered to put a tag on if they wanted to. It's really not for sale per se. I would probably sell it if somebody gave me the right money, but it's something. It's the only thing that sits there that's not for sale.
Okay, so so you appealed it to this body.
Yes, sir.
And it was heard on November the 11th, I believe, is what the date on these minutes show, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. If the minutes for that November 11 meeting is pages 16 through 21. But the part dealing with Mr. Triggers is on page 20 and 21. So if you look at, can you see well enough to read? Read the second paragraph there.
Mr. Driggers currently operates a garage and car sales lot on this property. He stated that he is already operating a tow service to his customers. He's towing his customers' car to the lot, fixes them, and the owners come and pick them up.
Okay. And on the vote that day, did they vote to grandfather you in and allow you to move and continue operating a tow service?
So the first time we were in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals, they had their own discussion, and then when it came time to make the motion, they agreed, and then someone attempted to make a motion, and Ms. Mosley was on the Board of Zoning Appeals at the time. She stopped them from making the motion. She said, you don't have to, you've already given it to him, he's already won, and he said, so they didn't make the motion, and then we were doing Robert's Rule of Law back then. And
excuse me, but
I'm sorry.
Isn't there a motion here?
The second time. This was 11 months later, so that's how they continued this for 11 months. The first time we had it heard, they tried to make the motion, and they wouldn't, and Cena didn't let them, so we went home that day. Congratulations, Mr. Driggers, good luck, keep it clean. And then the next day, Mr. Kelly came to the office and said, man, they should have made that motion. Since they didn't make that motion, that didn't really count last night. So now we're gonna have to put this off till next month. So then we went through, the attorney was David Bowman back then. We went through 2 or 3 attorneys. So over an 11-month period, they had me out of business, not to be able to do anything. So 11 months later, I put the tape in from the first meeting for the board for I think there may be even some new members. And they agreed and said, yes, you're right, and they made the motion 11 months later that they tried to do the first time.
Okay.
And that's what this one was.
Well, on November the 11th, they approved something.
That's when they approved it, when we finally had it, 11 months later is when they approved it.
Okay. Then you've got, did you go get a fence permit then the next day?
I did get a fence permit.
That's 32 and 33?
So they wouldn't give us an address for the fence permit originally until we had this discussion at the Board of Zoning Appeals and had that settled, and then they added that was gonna be 113 Blue Valley. Once this was settled, and they said, yeah, the storage lot could be there.
Can you explain, at the end of November 11th on 2003, there's a statement that says, we did not say he could operate a tow service there. We did not give him permission to operate a tow service there. The only thing this board gave him permission to do tonight was to take back his existing business from the front of his property and move it to the back. Exactly what are you saying happened that day?
That day, they made the vote to approve the storage lot, is what they did that day.
So let me just qualify that. That doesn't reflect that in these minutes, correct?
It does reflect it in the minute.
So at the moment, the
they put the stipulation. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, sir. Let me speak. Let me speak. So we're looking at page 20, number 5. That one I'm referring to?
Right.
Okay. So if you look at the minutes, a motion was made by Carl Black, seconded by Senator Mosley, to deny the request and uphold the decision of the City Codes Department, failed on a roll call vote. Okay, fair enough. So what you must do, as far as we're concerned, is have another vote, which must get a majority vote to pass through. And I don't see that in these minutes.
This is the wrong minutes. This is one of the other meetings. Ultimately, they did vote and pass it.
Do you have those minutes, sir?
I don't have them.
Okay.
They do exist, and I have the tape.
No, sir. Just move on. We just try.
So this is obviously going to be the wrong one because we're here 11 months in a row. It was eventually passed, and that's what stopped this. And then they came out and gave me a ticket for not getting the fence screening up in the 30 days, which we complied with before the next 30 days.
Do you know, sir, that the date of the meeting when allegedly it was approved?
I have it in my stack of papers this big. It's going to be the last meeting that I was in here for 10 years. That's the last time I was with the Board of Zoning Appeals. I do have it, but we had 11 months worth of them together. It's something I can get to you. It's something that was approved. That's why we have the fence. We've been in compliance ever since. This is just the wrong vote that we have in front of us.
Excuse me. The issue of towing is not even part of this hearing tonight. That's not part of it. That's not part of the letter that we're appealing from. the reason these minutes are included is because on November the 11th, 2003, this body, in its minutes, expressly states Mr. Driggers currently operates a garage and car sales lot on this property. Now, we're here tonight because this, the codes official is saying he's got to stop repairing cars, you know, but he had a garage that was recognized in 2003 by this body. Nobody, the issue of towing is not, the reason we don't have minutes is because that's not before the board tonight.
This was one of the minutes from the conversation they talked about the garage. This wasn't the one where they made the vote to pass the towing service. This was where they acknowledged that the codes department, that I had 2 or 3 garages there that worked on cars. But this wasn't the time that they had the vote. This is just when they talked about the garages on the property, which is what we're here for today.
I understand. Continue on, sir. Let's keep going through this packet.
Okay, sure. Now, we mentioned that the city has to write a letter saying that it's a lawful zone.
Yes, sir.
For you to have a car set lot. Is, looking at page 24, is that an example of what you would
It
have?
is. We incorporated, I believe, in 2010, and we had to get a new license and under the corporation, and they gave a new letter. I don't have the original letter that they would have given for us to present to the state, but this is the letter from when we incorporated. We would have had the same type of letter to get the license original. I just couldn't put my hands on that one.
So, and then in 2013, what happened to cause you to get this stop work order?
2013, we were replacing the roof of the 527 address, and we had gotten the permit to do that the year before the flood. So we had already had the footer inspection, all that stuff done, but we had to stop and go work on the restaurant because it flooded in the 2010 flood. So we spent our time working on that and we came back to this. And then when we were working on this, the codes came out and said, you got to get a permit. I showed them my permit and said, well, this one's expired. You need to renew it. So we went and renewed the new permit. But this was because originally in the first letter, they said that the 527 the office trailer wasn't legal or something. And so that's why I got this to show we've had 2 or 3 building permits for that same property over the years. It was there before, when I came to the town, so it was there long before me. As an existing address, we didn't have to get that address. They already had an address when we moved to LaVergne.
Now, the letter from the November 21, I guess it is, that cites several different matters. One of them mentions a trailer, a mobile home.
We had an office trailer in front of, at the same address, in front of the existing trailer that we put there, and we got a permit and everything for it, and at the time, this would have been in the late 90s. The permit, we got it and set it up, and then come to find out it was a temporary permit, so it was only good for 18 months. So that came up during this time that we were down here at the Bozo Board for 11 months, and the city told us we had to move it, so we moved it. So it hasn't been there in 25 years.
The trailer that's there today, was it there?
It was the original trailer. The trailer that we moved was sat in front of it, and it was a commercial office trailer that we got it from Penske, I think, and it just looked more commercial, so that's what we put there. But we moved it whenever we found out it was a temporary permit, and the city said to move it, so we moved it. That would have been during the Jerry Kelly era when we were down here at the Bozo Board for that year.
Do you have, okay, let's keep going through this, then I've got a few more questions. So, pages 26 through 30, are these pages from the ordinance that that we've already,
Yeah, this is from the zoning ordinances that was in effect when I came to the city, when I opened up my business.
right? And does it list, the name of this C2 zoning is Highway Service District. And does it mention automobile and other vehicular services and establishments as being permitted?
It does, and nowhere that I could find in that zoning map does it specifically say garage or mechanic shop anywhere in it. This is as specific as it got in the C2 zoning that was allowed. So it was allowed, so when I came in, that's what we did. That's what Mr. Hicks said that we could do. So that's why we built the garage there, to continue the same operations.
If we go over to page 30 and look at subsection G of this 5.053.2 section dealing with C2 zoning, does it indicate in G that outdoor storage is permitted?
It does, and Mr. Kelly brought that to my attention, that it all had to be on the back of the property, which is what he considered Old Nashville Highway being the front, because it's a corner, but he considered Old Nashville Highway being the front, everything else being the back, because it's a dead-end road. There's not a lot of traffic on it. So the back of the property was the building's back, and so we put partitions between each of the buildings so you can't see past what you see on Old Nashville Highway, which was the purpose of moving in some of that stuff to the back of the property anyway.
And then we look at pages 31 and 32. This is an excerpt from the same ordinance dealing with non-conforming uses. Does it, if you look on starting on line 10, can you read starting with the word lawful?
Lawful, non-conforming uses, established private property rights, lawful, non-conforming uses, buildings and structures existing at the item of the passage of, passage of this ordinance, or any amendments therein shall be allowed to remain subject to the following provisions. These provisions are applicable to a 11 use, is that right? Or the second use, is that 11 or 2? Use which are permitted within the districts in which they are located.
Okay. So is yours a lawful non-conforming use?
It is now, because the zoning's changed.
Right. Do you have anything, so cited in the letter that you received, it references on page 33, we've got 13-105, open storage. It reads, it shall be unlawful for the owner or occupant of a building, structure, or property to utilize the premises of such property for the open storage of any abandoned motor vehicle, icebox, refrigerator, stove, glass, building material, building rubbish, or similar items. Do you have anything that's abandoned on your property?
No, sir. Everything's in the transition from when we got it, what we're gonna do with it. It's not all just stored. It's gonna eventually go somewhere. Whether it may go to a scrapyard at some point, once we get our paperwork back on the autos. It just depends on the circumstances, but nothing's there to stay forever. It's all in transition.
And this letter also references, a section from the junkyard ordinance, which I don't, do you operate a junkyard?
No, sir. We don't sell any parts to anybody. We only use our parts ourselves. Like I said, if I buy a car that has a motor and we can put that motor in another car, and then we get rid of what's left.
So these provisions dealing with junkyards has no application to you?
I've never sold any parts.
Okay. Let me find that letter again. Oh, and the letter also references the 2018 International Fire Code and references section 3405 of that code. Now that code deals with tire rebuilding and tire storage. Are you in the business of tire rebuilding and tire storage?
No, sir.
As far as the tires that you have and used in your business, where do you keep them?
We keep them somewhere in box trucks, somewhere under a cover. They're never out in the weather.
Okay.
And the city's commented several times when they come do their tours how clean my property is.
Let me look at that letter again. Have you ever been ordered? This letter in item 3 says you've been ordered to remove trucks, semi-trucks, trailers, campers, buses, and vans from the property in its entirety. Do you know, have you ever been ordered?
Never been. I've always sold box trucks, and years ago we tried to put I went to the city and asked if we could put a tractor trailer repair shop at 519. They said no, we just didn't. We never. I do have one tractor trailer record that's on the site, but I mean, we don't really do anything with tractor trailers. The buildings were originally designed with loading dock doors, so they were designed to have tractor trailer trailers there. The tractor trailers that are there, we were addressed in the BOSA meeting 25 years ago, because they were on the property when it was in the county when it came into the city, because this was commercial property in the county before the city annexed it in the 80s. So these trailers were the trailers that had the building storage when they built the buildings, which is Ms. Warnack's. The codes department allowed us to put them, we had a 20-foot buffer at the back of the property, so you'll see them lined up across the back with 20 feet behind them, which we have a drive for the 20 foot that they requested around the storage lot. And Cena Mosley actually sent a letter to TVA to make sure that, tried to get them to not be okay with it. They said, they came out and did an inspection and said they didn't have a problem with it. So they were allowed to stay, and that became the back fence or the back buffer on the impound lot that is backed up to the LaVergne mini storage.
All the trailers that are there were there when...
All of them are there that were there except for 2. I had 2 that we've interchanged. We took an old one out and put a new one in because it was in better shape. The rest of them were the same ones that were there from before. The campers and box trucks, we buy and sell. And some of the boxes, the original box we bought from Micro Manufacturing, when they left, we have it, it's full of tires now out of the weather. And we use that as a partition, to keep the view. It's more of another buffer in between the 2 buildings. And it's been there ever since. It was there when we had this discussion 25 years ago.
What's the history of item 6 on your letter from the city references fencing? What's the story there?
So Jerry
history?
Kelly, originally, when we had this meeting 25 years ago, he did not want a fence on Blue Valley from the corner. The fence was at the corner next to 537. From there, that entrance, all the way up to the 111 building was open. He didn't want a fence there because that's parking lot. The parking lot for the garage at 111, and this is a staging area where we park cars for the dealership. 2 years ago, Mr. Sawyers sent the codes guy out and said he wanted to put a fence up. So we put a fence up, and we put the white mesh on it. Then that was okay, but then they said they wanted a black mesh instead of a white mesh, which the original okay from the BOSA board didn't have a color. It just had screening, but the screening was on the back. So if you look at the back of the property, you can't see it. If you stroll down the very back of the property, there's about an acre of woods, cedar trees. So we didn't have to put screening there because you can't see anything through the cedar trees. They said that was enough buffer. Behind that is where the tractor trailers are. There was a buffer there, so you couldn't see anything there. The front was originally a screen fence, but it was hard to maintain. So they allowed me to put a metal fence up 3 months after we were in here. He allowed me to put a metal fence there. So the front, under the power lines, has a metal fence with a gate that's completely, well, you can't see to it. The new fencing is what you see pictures of, is what they've requested us to do just in the last 2 years, which we put up, but now the white fencing, they said wasn't opaque enough, they wanted the black. So we're putting black up once we're finished with this. The fencing's up, it's just not covered yet. And that was approved by Randolph Sawyers 2 years ago, because we had to run it by him to make sure it was okay with him for the material.
And then item 7 says complete sign surface maintenance. What's the history, story behind your sign?
So the sign was destroyed a couple of months ago. It blew the sign with the letters that you change out. We have a sign on the front of the building, so I've since bought another sign that we're just gonna replace it. We tried to fix it, but it was just a little too tweaked up. The sign base is still there, but it's just the one that lights up and has the changeable letters, and it's just when it blew the middle out, it kind of tweaked it, so it's just kind of flimsy now. So we have a new sign to put up in place of it that's just like it, it's just not tweaked. Which the sign, we never got a sign permit because it was already existing when I came there in 95 or 94. We just utilized it.
I believe we've addressed the points raised in the letter.
I just have a couple of questions related to your packet, sir. Page number 2, it's the Tennessee Department of Revenue.
On page 2?
Page 2.
Okay, let's see if I can.
Tennessee Department of Revenue Business Tax Registration Application. Just a couple of comments. There's no FEIN or Social Security number added. There's no fiscal year date. And section number 4, type of ownership, nothing is ticked or indicated. And more importantly, on page 3, it's not signed.
It's what now?
It's not signed. It's not executed.
No, it's not. That's the only copies we've got, though.
Okay.
The county didn't have copies that went back that far. They just have that business was mine, that they didn't have any records where we could pull the old licenses up. The only licenses I could find are the ones that I have, but we were licensed in the county and the city book in order to get the state license, because those were required, and that's what he checked off on our sheet. We used to have them on the wall, but that's been 30 years ago.
I understand. I'm just going off I'm just going off your packet.
Oh.
Let's number 11, page 11, if you would, sir. Application for building and plumbing permit. At the very bottom of the page, it's starred. What does that say?
I'm trying to get to page 11. Everything's kind of out of order here.
Page 11, application for building / plumbing permit.
I should have stapled them, I suppose. Here we go. All right, there we go.
So very bottom of the page, below the signatures.
That's something that came directly from I had to pay.
I understand, sir.
Oh, no, I thought you were asking me about it.
My question is, what does the star and the verbiage handwritten dated 1/28/97 say?
They made me get an architect to draw plans and give them to them, which they submitted before we could do it. They went straight from the architect to the city. I requested that from the city. They said they don't have records of it. They didn't even have this building permit. But I never got it. They just sent it to them, they approved it, and they let us build it.
So for the record, it says need plans.
That was from the architect. And it wasn't planned, they made me get an architect to draw the plans and submit it to the city.
Do you have a copy of those plans, sir?
No, sir, that's what I'm saying. The city doesn't have them.
No, I'm asking you.
No, sir, he sent them straight to the city, and Dwayne Hicks approved it over the phone, told me I could build it.
So, okay. So let me go back to again. It said need plans. The city does not have a copy. You paid for those, I presume, to have them done, and you don't have a copy of those plans?
No, sir, not from 30 years ago. I said, I did, the city doesn't have this application for a building permit either.
I'm not debating that. I'm just asking straight questions.
So we didn't ever see it. It was just submitted to them, we had a handwritten that they said wasn't good enough. So they had to have an architect to draw it and send it to them, and that's what they approved it with.
Okay.
And then we built it after that. But then there's been another building permit issued and completed after that. There's another building permit with the footer inspection in '09, I believe, after preceding this, which is at the same property, on the same building.
Understand. Any other questions from the board members?
The last thing that I can find in this packet and what was submitted online, the last thing that shows that there was any business there is it expired in 2019, was the auto dealer license. Is there anything more recent? And I was looking for something in the
I
packet.
have a new license right now. We've had a license every year. I have my new one if you need it.
I don't know if we're allowed to check on
I mean,
I'm current. I've had a license every year. Now, when you get back to the old stuff, I only have the ones I have. So there's a couple of breaks, but it's mostly for the business license, not for the dealer's license, because they're 2 years. But I mean, I've had a license there the whole time. Some of them I don't have. The state and the county and the city, they don't hardly keep any of them. They only go back like 10 years. In 14, they did a lot of changing from keeping that, but I have a lot of my hard copies. They just bounce around a little bit. But I've got my current, and I've got sales every year for the last 31 years.
That's what I was asking.
I think that needs to be entered into our record now.
Okay. So what you're indicating, sir, that you've had car sales since 1994, 95, which when you started,
95.
to 2025.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good to know.
So my question would be, is this a joint business?
It's a sole proprietor.
Because there's a line drawn through one of the names.
My brother was in it. He was going to be in it for the first year, and he didn't. So that originally my brother was going to be in it. He did not. It ended up being a sole proprietor from the very beginning.
Do you have the original that shows just your name on it?
No, because it was going to be, and he never was. So it's just my name. It's on the license, on the dealer's license has just my name on it. That was the same thing. It's just that he was going to be on it. I think that's the county.
City of LaVergne.
Yeah. So eventually the state license and all the license were just David Driggers.
If you look at page 7, the state license is there on page 7. That was the first license. It was a 2-year license. It expired on 12/31 of 97.
Okay. So I believe we're referring to the City of LaVergne's letter dated November 21st, 24. I believe you've addressed, or you've talked about number 6 and number 7. Let's talk about the first one, just so we can just talk through it. It says, cease and desist all auto mechanic work on vehicles at this location, in brackets, C2 Highway Zone District does not allow for heavy duty auto mechanic work. Comments on those, if you would, please?
In the zoning record, it is allowed. In my zoning record that I opened my business under.
Okay, so you'll continue, okay. Number 2, moving illegal vehicle storage to the back of the lot where it was approved. Per Boza, March the 9th, 2004, automobile storage was to be at the back of the lot, and the City of LaVergne Municipal Code, Title 13, Chapter 3, Section 13.306, utilization of highway right-of-way.
It is in the back of the property. Old National Highway's the front, the back of the property is from the building's back, which is what Jerry Kelly authorized after the Board of Zoning meeting.
But is there any inoperable vehicle between the fence and the right-of-way or in the right-of-way?
Those are inventory. Those are for sale. Those are customers' cars or customer parking.
And they all work?
Yes.
They all work. They all function.
Yes. Some may need a boost or something like that, or a flat tire, but they all run. They're all for sale.
Okay, number 3, remove, let's see. Remove all trucks, semi-trucks, trailers, campers, buses, and vans from the property in its entirety. Per Boza, August 10th, excuse me, 2004. Time of business was approved to store only automobiles. Specifically, no trucks, vans, campers, semis are to be stored on this property. Your comment on that, please?
Those trucks have been there. They were part of the fence. They were allowed there then. We don't impound any tractor trailers or trucks. We don't impound those from the towing service. The ones that are for sale at the car lot are for sale. They've been for sale since the very first time I was there. I've sold box trucks and boom trucks and all kind of trucks. They're under the umbrella of the dealership.
Have they ever ordered you to not sell trucks, vans, campers, semis?
No, and they've been there in boats. I sell boats too, but that's been my business model since '95. Unchanged. The only things that are stored is the fence in the back and the existing trailers that were there, that they allow. We don't impound and store any trailers at the impound.
Okay, number 4, remove all tires, debris, and open storage from the property in its entirety. City of LaVergne, 2018 International Fire Code, Chapter 34, Section 3405, and City of LaVergne Municipal Code, Title 13, Chapter 1, Section 13.105, open storage.
So open storage was allowed, and it was allowed by Jerry Kelly as long as it's in the back of the property. In C2 zoning, in the ordinance, open storage is allowed at the back of the property.
The G section, I mean, the code section cited in this letter has no application at all to this business. None, zero. The C2 zone, the ordinance specifically expressly states in section G that open storage is permitted as long as it's not in the front yard. It couldn't be plainer.
Thank you. Number 5, remove the unpermitted sales trailers from the property. Boza, June the 13th, 2000, building was approved temporarily while office was being constructed.
That's the office trailer that's been gone for 25 years. It sat in front of the 527 original trailer that's there now.
1st November 2024, so obviously the City of LaVergne
Thinks that the original trailer is the old trailer that's been gone for 25 years because none of these people were here then.
Okay, and I think you've addressed number 6 and number 7. Any other comments from this board? Is it anything else you'd like to ask? City staff, any comments, questions, or questions you'd like to ask the applicant?
When was the last time you sold a vehicle from your lot?
Last week.
Last week? Do you have any signage saying that you're an auto dealer?
It's over the top of the door. It was just inspected by the Motor Vehicle Commission 2 months ago.
Okay.
I'm inspected every year by the Motor Vehicle Commission since '95.
Any comments from the staff? Questions?
I would just like to say the city's position is that there was a storage lot approved on this parcel on Blue Valley Drive under the power lines, and that is the only place that a storage lot was ever approved by this city. Everything else is
So after that,
immaterial to that.
Excuse me, sir, let them speak.
I'm sorry.
And so that's staff's position. Am I incorrect, codes officers? Help me out. Am I understanding correctly?
No, he's exactly right. It is our position that in 2004, he was approved to have a tow lot, and the minutes say Blue Valley Road. In the area back along the power lines back in there, doesn't mention Old Nashville. It's also our position that there are junk cars there. We have photographs of junk vehicles, junk trailers on the property. It's also our position that the fencing is not adequate. It does not meet the ordinance. It is not solid. It is not non-transparent. It does not equal a buffer screen 2 as the ordinance states. It is simply a blue railing with nothing on it. You can see right through it. And our ordinance specifically states it has to be non-transparent. Solid.
Would you like to comment on that?
So the white screening is what they approved originally
on,
and
Tom.
had me take off. So the white screening, which I spent $3,000 on, was approved, and then they said you could see through it, but you can see through the black as well. Now they've asked me to put up black. I've ordered black. We're gonna put up black just like they requested, just like every time they've ever asked me to do anything other than put me out of business. I've always complied with what the city's asked me to do. But then now they're saying, you're not supposed to have a garage there. They know good well I've had a garage there for 25 years. It's in the meeting minutes. But they want to pretend like there's not been 3 garages on that property so they can put them out of there. It's just not right.
Anything else, Steph?
I would also like to say that on what he's saying, I've took the liberty to copy every minute from every meeting that Mr. Drigger has been in, and I will hand those to you, and you will see that the black screening was requested back in 2004. It clearly states, with Drigger even asking, Mr. Drigger asked if he could tow cars, but just not trucks or vans. That was confirmed. He even asked the questions. This will be in the recorded minutes that I will hand over to you. And on the mechanic work, it was never approved. It's never been brought to planning to even say the heavy mechanic work could be done in a C2, only light.
It's in the minutes. It's in the minutes that the codes department admitted that there's 3 shops on the property. It's in the minutes. They acknowledge that. They've known it's been there. It's been inspected by the fire department only for the last 8 years, because the first 25 years they didn't inspect. But since they've been doing inspections, it's a shop. They acknowledge it's a shop. It's been inspected that way. It's been that way. It's been worked that way. It's appalling to me that they're trying to pull this now, knowing it's been there, and it was allowed to be there in C2 zoning according to the zoning when I came to the city. Approved by Dwayne Hicks, was the original codes director, and then followed up with Jerry Kelly when he tried to make me not store cars. And Randolph Sawyer's approved this existing fence with the white. They're the ones that changed it and said it couldn't be white, it had to be black. We have metal on Blue Valley Road, which was approved by Jerry Kelly, which we were given a ticket and came to court, fixed the fence with metal, and it was approved. One year, they even came out and said, this metal fence is different colors. You have to take it all off and turn it around. We did. We got a ticket, we paid the court costs, we flipped the metal to the other side. It's ridiculous to be this punitive over a property that's been paying taxes there for 31 years.
If good staff, let me, seeing I'm the holder of the documents, I'd like to get those documents too, so we have them all as one entity. That'd be great.
Do I
Appreciate
have a
that.
copy?
Well, we'll make copies, so I mean.
And the trucks that we don't tow are tractor trailers.
Well, I had requested originally copies, and they didn't supply one.
I understand, so I'm just holder of all the documents. That's what I'm here to do, we'll handle it appropriately.
So the context of the trucks, we don't tow tractor trailers. And in the original Tennessee guide, driver's license handbook, 2-ton and up is considered a truck or a van. It's not a van like a cargo van. It's a heavy duty 2-ton plus is tractor trailers, is what we were referencing it, that I don't tow or store.
I understand. Thank you. Is there anyone else here wants to speak for or against, or any other comments on this appeal and decision of the building codes official? Any other comments? Anybody else want to speak? Legal, any comments? If you have any comments, if you would.
Sure, I could make some comments about the standard for considering a grandfathered use if you'd like. The standard is that 1, there has to be a change in zoning and restrictions, and 2, the land use was permitted prior to the change. That's per Abington Center LLC versus the town of Collierville. Additionally, the establishment or business has to be permitted legally be allowed to operate under the zoning regulations, or there have to be some exception that allows the use prior to the zoning change, and it cannot merely be due to a lack of enforcement on the behalf of the city, and that's Smith County Regional Planning versus Hiwassee Village Mobile Home Park. So that's the standard under which you're reviewing what's been presented tonight. I would also add that it's important for you to, whether you do this by making a motion, that you put clearly why you are taking the action to approve or not accept. Whatever action you take, it needs to be clear why you are taking that, whether it's on the recommendation of staff or based on the testimony that Mr. Driggers has presented. You need to be clear about why you are making the findings that you do.
Board members, any comments, questions?
I just have a real quick question for the city. As far as an automobile dealership, is there any kind of line between what kind of vehicle, or the condition of the vehicles? Do they have to be operating? Do they have to be, can they be rusted out? Is it pretty much if you put anything on that property, you can sell it?
I can't speak to the zoning aspect of it, but the ordinance says they're supposed to be tagged and operable. In a case of a sales lot, they wouldn't be tagged, but they certainly would need to be operable if you follow that definition.
I would also like to make a comment on this point. Just because you have a business license doesn't mean that it's necessarily a permitted use under the zoning ordinance. The licensing board may be different and have different requirements than what the local zoning requires. So that's a key distinction to make.
Understood.
Any other comments? So with that, I'm going to pull this all together as chairman, and I'm going to make the motion to agree with the staff and the building official to, in accordance with the letter November the 21st, 2024, from the city to the applicant of the reasons why that the decision, we're going to agree with the staff and concur that